Welcome to the IE Crypto Show. Are you sick and tired of YouTubers pitching their next moonshot project only to find out months later that they were completely wrong? Worried the next crypto trading course you spend thousands of dollars on is used only to upsell you other programs and supposed insider information? Concerned why that altcoin you just spend your life savings on dropped 35% just hours after you bought it? Join thousands of other crypto enthusiasts looking for success in the crypto space without the hard sales pitch, straight from your host, Matt Maloof.
Good morning, crypto enthusiasts, and welcome. This is Matt with the IE Crypto Show, where you tune in each week to learn more about Bitcoin, the circular economy, and freedom. I'm proud to say that this episode is being brought to your earbuds courtesy of our friends at itrustcapital.com. iTrust Capital is the world's leading digital asset IRA platform with well over $2 billion of trade volume. iTrust Capital seeks to empower, inspire, and provide access to millions of investors looking to participate in the economic growth of a blockchain future promises, providing 24/7 access to cryptocurrency trading through tax-advantaged IRA accounts. iTrust Capital has been adding a variety of cryptocurrencies for trading and investment, as well as the ability to invest in precious metals if you choose to further diversify your tax-advantage account. Head over to itrustcapital.com, the letter I, trustcapital.com, and use promo code IECrypto for a special discount. Join our Facebook group, IE Bitcoiners, for Inland Empire Bitcoiners, where we post more often news, helpful information, and tutorial videos on crypto topics that interest you. We spend a lot of time finding the best educational content just for you. That's IE Bitcoiners on Facebook. Don't forget to follow us on Twitter at the IE Crypto Show. Take back control of your privacy, liberty, and financial future. Just go to the iecryptoshow.com, where we have links to all the resources that we use personally. Click and sign up through any of those links to support the show without any additional cost to you. If you want to instantly convert your dirty fiat dollars to Bitcoin without tax consequences, then use the Strike app, link in the show notes, and on our website at the iecryptoshow.com. We have a great show lined up for you this morning, where we're going to talk about Bitcoin insurance for your investment portfolio. Well, not exactly buying Bitcoin insurance per se, but how including just 1% of Bitcoin into your portfolio can reap tremendous benefits in the long run. We'll try to get in a few news bites that you can use and some announcements along the way. Then we have an extended and limited interruption interview with one of the top rising female stars in the crypto industry, Miss Natalie Brunell. She'll be chatting with us from the Coin Stories podcast. Natalie is going to share with us a bit of her background, how she got into Bitcoin, how she manages and handles the insane volatility. Natalie is also going to talk to us a bit more about her advice for newbies and no coin, where she sees the crypto space going in the next few years, why financial education is so important, and her hopes for more women entering and rising up in the cryptocurrency space. It's a fun educational interview you're going to want to listen to a few times. And this interview is very special to me since I have a couple of young daughters that I'd like to succeed financially and in life. So nothing on this show should be taken as financial, tax, or legal advice. Just some opinions and musings on the Bitcoin and cryptocurrency space. Remember, observe, plan, execute, adjust as necessary, stack sats always, be happy and live well. This is Matt with the IE Crypto Show, and let's get to it. You're listening to the IE Crypto Show, where you can find us at the iecryptoshow.com. We have links to all of our resources that we use to turbocharge our Bitcoin adoption, liberty, and freedom. That's the iecryptoshow.com. Have any questions, comments, or concerns? Just send us an email, the iecryptoshow@gmail.com. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Follow us on Twitter at the IE Crypto Show. For all your tax-advantaged cryptocurrency and precious metal investment needs, make sure you visit our friends at itrustcapital.com, the #1 crypto IRA and 401k platform in America. Use promo code IECrypto for a special offer and no additional cost to you. That's itrustcapital.com, promo code IECrypto. Let's meet and hang out over some great food and beers. Go to meetup.com/the Inland Empire Bitcoiners, the latest info on where and when we'll be hanging out. Go there as often as you can, as we change things up from time to time, and we also collaborate with other Bitcoin meetup groups as well. Thanks for listening to the IE Crypto Show. Now on to our Bitcoin portfolio insurance segment. Well, you're not necessarily buying an insurance policy for Bitcoin for your investment portfolio or anything like that. Really, we're just going to take a look at if you peel off 1% of your portfolio and put it into Bitcoin, or maybe 4 or 5%, something small, and how that can turbocharge your total returns on your investment portfolio. Now, there's a ton of videos and podcasts and things online that you can find that are basically going to go over the same concept. Some go over a lot more numbers and things like that, but the concept is the same. Having Bitcoin in your portfolio, no matter how small, is still better than having no Bitcoin in your portfolio. If you invested just 1% of your money in Bitcoin, then you increased your portfolio's returns while reducing risk 100% of the time over a 3-year period. Sounds too good to be true? Let's discuss. It doesn't matter if you're a young person starting to invest, a parent saving for your child's education, or a retiree protecting your nest egg. Bitcoin has a place in everyone's portfolio. Bitcoin offers many unique benefits when added to traditional portfolio, including increased returns, decreased risk, and protection from inflation. Where many see speculative asset, reality has shown us that Bitcoin is the top performing asset over the last 12 years and can have a big impact on your portfolio. What we're looking for is scarcity in a world of plenty. Bitcoin is a new form of money where the supply is fixed by math instead of determined by a small group of central bankers. It functions outside the control of any single government or entity. There will only ever be 21 million Bitcoin, and this programmed scarcity allows it to act as a store of value, similar to how gold has historically done over the last 12 or 20,000 years. As more people view Bitcoin as a store of value, the demand for it increases. With that, since the supply is fixed, the price should increase as well. Bitcoin's fixed supply is the opposite of what we've seen happen to the US dollar. The dollar's supply has increased about 25% or so in the last year alone. The US printed, depending on where you read, anywhere from $7 to $12 trillion just in 2020. And people are, now you're starting to feel the effects. And this money printing in the form of inflation has investors and now Wall Street and now the everyday Main Street worried, and rightfully so. So what's inflation? Well, inflation is defined as the rise of prices of goods and services in an economy. So recently the Fed reported that the main inflation measure, the CPI, was about 5%. So it might not sound like a lot, but let's think about it like this. At a 5% annual inflation rate, your cash is going to lose 50% of its value in 10 years. So by 2030, whatever you have in your bank account is going to be worth half as much, or it's going to have half of the purchasing power that it has right now. So just let that sink in. So inflation is watching everything around you. It's getting more and more expensive, and your savings are able to buy less and less, and it's increasing at a fast rate. Furthermore, if your income is not rising with these prices, then life is going to start to get unaffordable fast. And I think you guys all know what I'm talking about here. You'll spend more and more money on food, gas, housing as a percentage of your income. That's why wealthy investors are looking for assets besides the dollars to store their wealth in order to protect themselves against the risk of their savings being devalued. And more people are choosing Bitcoin. More and more banks are now, you can see in the news, starting to onboard just the wealthy clients into Bitcoin. Why is that? Buying Bitcoin is like buying wealth insurance. Since no more than 21 million Bitcoin never be mined, the supply will never inflate like the US dollar. Each Bitcoin will hold its value over time, and everybody needs a little protection in their portfolio today. Inflation is already here. The only question is how long will it last, and probably how quickly will it rise. So it gives you a little bit of diversification. Financial, political, and economic instability. It's never been more important to diversify your money across different assets to protect yourself, your family, and your business. It's always been like that. Most people agree with that you shouldn't put all your eggs in one basket. So they invest across real estate, stocks, bonds, etc. What they fail to realize is that generally speaking, those assets are exposed to the traditional centralized financial fiat system. Bitcoin is different. It functions all on its own, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year, without anyone or anything controlling it. Because of this unique independence from the outdated, centralized financial fiat system, it marches to the beat of its own drum, what we call kind of uncorrelated, or a non-correlation, which makes it a perfect asset to add to your portfolio in order to diversify and reduce risk. Bitcoin can offer downside protection, but all the traditional assets in your portfolio are failing because Bitcoin generally doesn't move with these assets. Bitcoin's correlation to other assets between 2015 and 2020 is an average of 0.11, indicating there's almost no relationship between the returns of Bitcoin and other assets. And this comes from a study done by Fidelity Digital Assets. This special trait of lacking correlation to other assets is extremely rare in investing circles and makes Bitcoin a must-have addition to everyone's portfolio to decrease risk in the high-risk environment we find ourselves in today. And now, more bang for your buck. The beauty of Bitcoin is because of its uncorrelated nature and performance record, an investor only needs to allocate a very small percentage of their funds to make a meaningful impact on their portfolio. Many studies have shown that a 1% Bitcoin allocation returned over 15% more than a portfolio of just stocks and bonds, while decreasing the risk of the portfolio. So in other words, it boosted the returns while making the portfolio safer at the same time. If you want a copy of that study, email me at theiecryptoshow@gmail.com and I'll send it on over to you. Essentially, you can receive all the benefits of Bitcoin, the inflationary protection, the risk reduction, and potentially massive gains, only using a small amount of your money. If Bitcoin goes to zero, you only lose 1%, no big deal. But after 12 years of history, I really don't see Bitcoin going to zero. I mean, it still hurts to lose anything. If Bitcoin price does continue to soar, which in my personal opinion, not investment advice, I think it will. It'll be a rocky ride. It'll be bumpy for sure. It should continue to soar. And the benefit is you can benefit greatly from just a 1% position. The risk reward with Bitcoin is unparalleled in the investing world, for sure. A 1% allocation gives you a lot of bang for your buck, so to speak, because the performance of Bitcoin throughout this last decade is hard to match. Now, past performance is not an indication of future performance, but the way the world is going and the way it's going there fast makes Bitcoin a very safe bet, probably the safest bet in the world. And it's been the best performing asset nearly every year for the last 10 to 12 years. Plus, when you compare it to other stores of value that investors look into, like gold and stocks, Bitcoin is the obvious winner. Now, again, like we said, past performance is not a guarantee of future results. But with the rapid digitization of the world, it's getting tough to beat. In 2025, 2026, 2029, do you think the world will be more digitized than it is today, or be less digitized? We'll be using our cell phones more, or do you think we'll be using them less? Those are questions I'll leave for you to answer. So by now you're probably asking yourself, can I really afford a 1% of my stock, bond, cash allocation into the best performing asset of the past decade? Now, knowing that it also reduces risks and adds inflation protection, that's going to be up to you. I don't think this isn't financial advice and just, some guy's opinion, something to consider. To me, personally, it's an absolute no-brainer, and exactly why everyone listening to this should own some Bitcoin in their portfolio. Buy wealth insurance today. Buy Bitcoin. This is not financial, tax, or legal advice, but just something to think about. Go to the iecryptoshow.com. All of our resources are there. If you need help with anything, please send me an email, the iecryptoshow@gmail.com, or send me a DM on Twitter, the iecryptoshow. I'll be more than happy to help sit down with you, walk you through whatever you might need. My two favorite exchanges that I'm using right now is Voyager and BlockFi, both on the iecryptoshow.com. Check them out. There's, pros and cons to each of them and some benefits to each of them. If you want to do a little more in depth on a couple of the ones that I use, send me an email, the iecryptoshow@gmail.com, and we'll talk about it. Thanks, and we'll be right back. Food and beers. Go to meetup.com/Inland Empire Bitcoiners for the latest info on where and when we'll be hanging out. Go there as often as you can as we change things up from time to time, and we also collaborate with other Bitcoin meetup groups as well. Thanks for listening to the IE Crypto Show. Welcome back, IE Crypto enthusiasts. This is Matt with the IE Crypto Show, and we've got a very special guest here, Miss Natalie Brunell, who's a television news personality, investigative journalist, podcast host, and educator. She's a senior correspondent, investigative reporter for Spectrum News 1 LA, as well as an adjunct professor at the USC Annenberg School for Communication and Journalism. Right on. She hosts 2 podcasts highlighting origin and success stories, coin stories, and career stories. Did I miss anything, or is there anything you care to elaborate or add to?
No, that's great. I mean, yeah, I'm very grateful to be able to do all of these things. I wish I just had more time in the week to do all of them.
Oh, don't we all? I'm going to have to send you a copy of my productivity book on my term method for time, energy, resources, and money, and how to sort of kind of get a grasp of all of those. But, one of the hints is mostly time management doesn't work. And all. So can you tell us a little bit about your Bitcoin origin story? Now, how did you first hear about Bitcoin? How long did it take you from when you kind of first heard about it to when you bought your first coin? For some of us that are a little bit slower, it took us a few years to sort of kind of wrap our heads around what we heard and liked about it versus, how reality is in real life, and, kind of pinching yourself to believe that this is, something real.
Yeah, so I really relate to all the people out there who don't have a finance background, who aren't day traders or investors, who are just really curious and wanted to learn more about the technology. So I heard about it first in about 2017. I was living in Northern California, and I knew someone who had a friend who worked at Coinbase. So one time we were hanging out and they started to talk about Bitcoin. And of course, I'm a journalist, so I'm naturally curious, and I asked them, what's Bitcoin? And they sort of started to explain it to me, but I really didn't go down the rabbit hole. I really wish that I had, but it sparked my curiosity because I felt like, Silicon Valley and the people in the tech space have always been on the forefront of new trends and things in the stock market that have really taken off over the years. So I became curious. I sort of believed in the premise, and I thought if it did have legs, it's something that I wanted to have exposure to. So at the time it was a couple $1,000s, and I made my first purchase of Bitcoin, and I've never sold my Bitcoin. I've continued to add to it, but I first heard about it just because of friends in Northern California who happened to sort of work in the space. And then I didn't really go down the rabbit hole until the pandemic, which I know a lot of people can relate to, including, even Michael Saylor didn't hear and learn about, really what Bitcoin means and what it stands for until about March or April of 2020. And I'm in that boat too.
Yeah, I really jumped in and dove in all in at the beginning of the pandemic as well. That's kind of what did it for me. Now, when you say you bought your first Bitcoin, did you buy like on a peer-to-peer platform, or did you go through, like most of us, like regular exchange? How did you do that?
Yeah, I just went through one of the exchanges that was recommended, and it was really easy for me. I mean, it just felt like basically, transacting on a bank. I'm used to online banking now. It feels like I never really have cash with me anymore. So it was a very easy process, and I knew it was going to be volatile, but I also did see how much it had grown over the, at the time, maybe 8 to 9 years that it was around. And I was just really impressed with how much it had appreciated as opposed to, my normal bank account.
Does the volatility make your stomach turn? How do you kind of sort of deal with that? Because I know a lot of my friends who've gotten into it in the last 6 months, they're either break even or negative right now, and their stomachs are kind of turning. And I'm a little bit more at peace with the volatility. But I mean, what advice do you have for some of them, especially like single moms that are just putting away just a little bit for their future and their children's future? and such on this volatility?
Sure. So, that's one thing you just kind of learn as you're investing, whether that's in Bitcoin and crypto or even stocks, is you're supposed to buy when, it's the scariest, when it's at the lows, and you're supposed to sell at the highs, not vice versa, right? So the volatility, it's sad to me that this year we had so much momentum earlier in the year, and we hit that all-time high in the 60s, and then we fell so hard. So the only thing that's sad about the volatility for me is that I've continued to purchase. So, I could have bought more if I had waited for this this drawdown that I didn't necessarily expect. However, at the same time, I really do believe that this is a long-term hold, a long-term investment. And I agree with the premise that, if you have a short time horizon, then maybe Bitcoin's not the best idea. If it's something that's going to stress your finances in the short term, or you're looking to make a big purchase, then maybe it's not something that's the right decision for you. But if you have a long time horizon and you're really looking for a savings technology, and you're looking for something that potentially in 5-10 years has appreciated a lot, then I think people should research Bitcoin and see if it's right for them.
Yeah, I kind of agree. Bitcoin is digital gold, and a 5 to 10 year time horizon at a minimum is kind of what I well, I can't give financial or tax advice, but my life advice, I guess, so to speak. But so what excites you right now in the crypto space?
It's just been really great to learn about both Bitcoin and really the technology, and dig into some of the nuances of it so that I can better understand the headlines and inform people who don't have a background in it. And also, I've just really loved meeting the people in the space. Bitcoin Twitter is one of the most positive, welcoming communities I've ever been a part of. So I'm really grateful that they've welcomed me with open arms, especially because there aren't too many females in the space just yet. And I would really like to blaze the trail there, especially as someone who is more from a general background as opposed to finance or hedge funds. So it's been really great to get to know the big Bitcoiners, especially on my podcast.
Okay, great. You know what? I have another longer question, but let's just stop early for a break real quick, because I kind of want to go more in depth on what you mentioned about women in the cryptocurrency.
Okay.
If you could just hold on for 1 second. This is Matt with the IE Crypto Show, and we're talking with Natalie Brunell, and we will be right back.
If you need power of attorney, quitclaim deeds, or loan signing services, contact IE Mobile Notary in the East Valley area of the Inland Empire. At ienotary.org, IE Mobile Notary of Redlands will come to you. IE Mobile Notary is available after hours and on weekends. They also offer notary for any state of California documents requiring apostle and concierge services. IE Mobile Notary accepts Bitcoin payments and also speaks Spanish. Remember ienotary.org for IE Mobile Notary.
Excellence Real Estate will buy your home today. No repairs needed, no commissions, no inspections, and no closing costs. Contact them at ierealty411.com. ierealty411.com. Excellence Real Estate will buy your home even if you have no equity, with offices in Redlands. Excellence Real Estate is a full-service real estate network. They accept Bitcoin payments. Contact them at ierealty411.com. California Department of Realty, 1388701.
Save the economy and invest with Matt. Do you want to build wealth at all levels of income? Invest with Matt. You want to learn about and understand cryptocurrencies? Invest with Matt. What if you've been taught to create your goals all wrong and you really want to achieve them? And what if you could really manage and save your time? Save the economy and invest with Matt. Book a call with Matt Maloof today at investwithmatt.com. Located in Redlands, California, investwithmatt.com. Life advice built for the digital world.
Listening to the IE Crypto Show, where you can find us at the iecryptoshow.com. We have links to all of our resources that we use to turbocharge our Bitcoin adoption, liberty, and freedom. That's the iecryptoshow.com. Have any questions, comments, or concerns? Just send us an email, the iecryptoshow@gmail.com. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Follow us on Twitter at the IE Crypto Show. For all your tax-advantaged cryptocurrency and precious metal investment needs, make sure you visit our friends at itrustcapital.com, the #1 crypto IRA and 401k platform in America. Use promo code IECrypto for a special offer and no additional cost to you. That's itrustcapital.com, promo code IECrypto. Let's meet and hang out over some great food and beers. Go to meetup.com/Inland Empire Bitcoiners for the latest info on where and when we'll be hanging out. Go there as often as you can, as we change things up from time to time, and we also collaborate with other Bitcoin meetup groups as well. Thanks for listening to the IE Crypto Show. Welcome back, everyone, to the IE Crypto Show. This is Matt, and we are talking to Natalie Brunell, who's giving us a little education and all on Bitcoin and cryptocurrency in general. And you had mentioned about women in the cryptocurrency space. And during your interview with Michael Saylor recently, you'd mentioned the need for more women in leadership roles in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. And so what do you kind of think needs to be done for the rest of 2021 to get more women into prominent roles? And this kind of is personal for me because I'm trying to teach and educate my two daughters, one who's 20 and one who's 7, on Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, money, finance, wealth, business and self-sovereignty and such. So, they obviously relate to seeing more women and more people like that. So I personally would love to see more women in prominent roles and features in the educational space and just everything in Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. So, and what do you think needs to be done the rest of this year?
Yeah, that's a great question. I just think that more women have to come in and be vocal and invite other women into the space. And that's something that I'm really trying to do with my podcast. I think that Bitcoin and the technology behind it is a little bit intimidating if you don't have a background and you haven't really done the research. And so I'm not sure if there's a little bit of, a hurdle there. If sometimes women don't go into investing decisions. Maybe they leave that to their partners or husbands. And I think it's really important because women have so much of the spending power in the United States, especially us millennials. I'm a millennial and, so many of my friends, we're making more than some of the guys. So we need to make smart decisions. And I'm really passionate about getting other women and girls in the space and getting excited about making smart decisions about money and their future. And like you mentioned, a lot of people do view Bitcoin as digital gold. I really like when people use the term digital property, right? So sometimes people think that buying a home is just a little bit too out of their reach and because of the price, right? And everything's appreciated so much and we have so much inflation, but Bitcoin's actually a little bit more approachable if you think about it. And you have property that can't be taken from you, that's decentralized, that no authority owns except for you, and you can take it all over the world. And so I think there's something really exciting about the space. I really noticed when I went to the Bitcoin conference in Miami, just how much the ratio is skewed male to female. It was probably like 95% men, 5% women. And I'm not sure if that's just the norm in the tech space or in the business world, but I think we just really need to encourage women that this is an approachable topic that they can learn about, that they should take their savings and their finances in their hands and really do create what you mentioned, that personal financial sovereignty.
Oh yeah, definitely. I think it's more important now than ever with all the money printing and the rules and regulation, the banking cartels that are going after countries and people with it. It's just crazy. So relating to Bitcoin, what's the most important thing that our audience or relative newbies should know right away?
I think that it's important to really just do a little bit of homework because I think a lot of people see Bitcoin as some sort of gamble or Ponzi scheme or some sort of speculative, scam, and it's really not. It's a technology that can really change a lot of industries. It's a network that has 12 years of history. It's never been hacked. Exchanges maybe have had some issues or people might have forgotten their passwords, but the Bitcoin network in 12 years has never been hacked or corrupted, which is really amazing. I mean, people lose their, their credit cards get stolen on a daily basis. There's so much fraud within Visa or MasterCard, and Bitcoin really doesn't have these issues. And so when you really peel back the layers and learn about the blockchain technology and the ledger and how it works, you really see that this is a very, very strong foundation for a different kind of monetary asset. And I think the other thing people need to think about is just, what's your dollar worth? When you put money in the bank, are you able to spend and get as much for your money as you were 5 years ago, 10 years ago, 20 years ago? Some of the people that I've interviewed, they talk about how on the surface, things might look great because we have these record high stock prices and these very high inflated asset prices, or your home is appreciated by a lot. But what about your income? What about the groceries? Can you afford those as easily? Things are really just not keeping up, and so many Americans are living paycheck to paycheck, and things are really getting harder. The wealth disparity is just growing to become such a problem. And Bitcoin is trying to actually solve that problem. I think a lot of people don't realize that Bitcoin's trying to be, or it was created to be, a hard, sound money that can't be inflated. It's a digital scarce asset, and it could, potentially store your future wealth for years to come, so that you can save and provide for your family. And that's really what excites me. So there are a lot of nuances and layers to it, but if you take it step by step, it's really not that intimidating, and it could give you a lot of financial freedom and power over your future.
Yeah, I like to kind of tell people that, Bitcoin, the price of one Bitcoin right now might seem a little bit high, especially if you're sort of living paycheck to paycheck and, just trying to find a little on the side to put in, and to not necessarily think of one Bitcoin or trying to get one Bitcoin right away, but maybe just, we always say, stack sats always. So just get a couple of Satoshis. I think around now we're around 2,000 or 2,700 Satoshis for a dollar. So even just $5, you can just put in and just keep rolling it up. I mean, do you kind of agree with that? Is that making any sense at all, or am I just crazy?
Oh, absolutely. I'm one of the people that actually believes that some of the exchanges should denominate Bitcoin and sats, because I think, anyone who's looking at their account would much rather see a bunch of zeros, the commas and zeros and then a decimal point, rather than all the zeros after the decimal point. So I think that sats, and teaching people about the fact that that there's sort of that infinite divisibility of Bitcoin, is really, really important. And, people sometimes we make these purchases that we don't even think about, right? It's just kind of like a $5 coffee here, $2 from the vending machine here. But if you just maybe take $5 and put it into something that could potentially appreciate at the rate of, annually 200% on average, what will you have in a couple of years? What's that $5 going to be worth? So, I think it's really important, again, for people to do the research. I'm never someone we can't give financial advice, and I'm never someone who just says blindly, go buy Bitcoin. No, I say, go research it, and maybe you'll find inspiration to potentially just put a couple of dollars away to start. And then, it's a personal finance decision, whether you invest a ton or you invest just a little bit.
On a previous show, I had talked about how I personally had bought $1 of Bitcoin every single day for about 3.5 months, about 100 days in a row. And I kind of used that to force me to go in and look at the price and try to time the market to, spend my $1 to get my sats and all that. But it kind of really forced me to go in and also look at the news and see, okay, is it up today or is it down today? Why or why not? What's going on? What are the trend lines of the news programs that's going on? Is there anything new in the Bitcoin space? I mean, and nothing architecturally, like you mentioned, it hasn't been hacked, hasn't been corrupted. As much as people they've tried to double spend, they've tried all the funny stuff, and it just won't go away. I mean, it just keeps going, which is, I think one of my buddies said, "Oh, it kind of sounds like a cockroach. No matter what you do, I mean, you drop a nuke on it, it's still not going to die." And It's kind of like, well, yeah, I mean, that kind of would be something you would want. I mean, as nasty as those things are, they do have a purpose. And not that I want to kind of correlate Bitcoin to cockroaches, but Bitcoin is the hardest, most sound money that we've ever seen. But I think it's also the most resilient protocol that we've ever seen.
Absolutely. I'm so excited to see where this space goes because I really believe that we're just in the infancy stages, which makes it also so exciting, right? Because at least for me, again, as a millennial, I wasn't really around for sort of the people that got in on Microsoft really early or some of the other big tech companies. And it's exciting to feel like I'm learning about something that could potentially change our future and provide us with a more sound monetary system. I think a lot of people don't have, a huge background in just our financial history in this country, how the central bank was formed and how we used to be on the gold standard and when we went off it and sort of what the consequences have been of a government debt system. And again, it's intimidating and it's nuanced to learn about, but it's really important because once you peel back some of those layers of the onion, you see how our society has changed and where some of the income inequality and wealth disparity might come from. And, the fact that this could potentially return sort of a digital version of a gold standard is super exciting. And I think everything's going in the digital direction. We're hearing about the central bank digital currencies. We're going to, I'm sure, have a Fed coin soon. We have Janet Yellen talking about stable coins. So this is the future, and I'm a big believer of that.
So what's the most fulfilling part of your Coin Stories podcast?
I just have really loved getting to know the guests and how everyone comes from a really different background and really what inspired them to be interested or intrigued by Austrian economics or sort of this sound money or hard money policy of Bitcoin. And it's just been really fascinating. I've always loved origin stories. My other podcast, Career Stories, it kind of follows the same track and asks people about their backgrounds and what they've overcome to achieve success. That one's more in sort of the media space, social media or news or television. And I was fascinated by Bitcoin. And there are so many people who have really large followings. A lot of them have had great success, everyone from the Winklevoss brothers to, Michael Saylor to Pomp. They've done really well for themselves and they really believe in this. So I wanted to find out, well, why? I mean, these are smart folks, right? I want to be among the smart folks and absorb a little bit of their knowledge. So it's been really fulfilling. And again, I've just been really grateful that they've welcomed me with open arms because I'm so new to the space. There's not a ton of women in it, and I've been able to secure such great interviews, and I'm just looking forward to continuing.
Cool. So where do you see Bitcoin in 5 years in terms of like the price, maybe the mining space, the industry in general, women in prominence? Are you going to be one of these prominent women that we're all looking up to and learning from in 5 years? Rules, regulations, anything you care to share?
Yeah, well, hey, I mean, Michael Saylor did say I might be the queen bee. He's the father of Bitcoin, the Hornet Lord. So there needs to be a queen bee.
Yeah. I mean, I think after listening to a few of your coin stories, I think you definitely have a front running shot at it.
Oh, no. There's so many women that are great. In fact, I can't wait to share Lynn Alden's interview. And there are so many amazing females in this space who I'm going to be interviewing. So I hope more women are in this space in 5 years. I believe in 5 years, the price will be several $100,000. I do think we're going to get back that momentum. We're going to get the institutions coming back in. I think we will have to deal with a little bit of, pushback on the regulation side, or maybe, some narratives that need to be corrected or people who need to be informed better. But yeah, I just think it's going to continue to grow. I really think more people will come into the space and understand. And really, we're in such an interesting time with our market, right? I mean, coming out of this pandemic with all the money printing that's happening, with these very contradictory narratives about inflation. And I get it, right? I mean, if you're the chair of the Fed, you can't, what are you going to do? Admit that inflation's out of control? You have to be very, very careful with what you say, but we do see it in the prices and we see it all over. And at some point, if the government does taper and if that affects the markets, I think a lot of these, little things that are happening along the way are providing a phenomenal value proposition for Bitcoin and its digital scarcity and its, incorruptibility. So I'm looking forward to seeing where it is, and I hope more people get into the space, and I hope that I am able to help educate people, just not just about Bitcoin, but just about their finances in general and why they should learn more about the space.
Definitely, I think a lot more education is needed, especially with the wall of people that are coming in that are maybe not so tech savvy. You know, a lot of our audience isn't the most tech savvy and such, and even financially literate. I mean, I really learned most of my finances kind of through the school of hard knocks. You know,
Yeah.
getting scammed and losing money here and there, and just kind of trying to figure out how to time the market or trade the market, and what I was good at or not good at, and it stinks. And the way the economy is now and what's going on, it's tough. I think people to go through that, and learn about that.
I agree. And I always tell people that if they are interested in learning about this and they're interested, a lot of people love history. I'm a big history buff. So even if Bitcoin's sort of like not something that you really want to read a ton about, a lot of people I think would love to read about the history of money. And I really recommend the Bitcoin Standard because, despite the fact that the title makes it sound like the whole book is just about Bitcoin or the technology behind it, it's actually the history of money, the history of central banking, and sort of how we got to the place we are today. And then a few chapters on Bitcoin. And I think it's just the most phenomenal book. It's by Saifedean Ammous. And that's what really helped me down the rabbit hole of learning some of the most important topics in this space. And I just encourage people to check out. I mean, there's so many resources out there, from YouTube to podcasts to books.
Cool. So outside of Michael Saylor, who in the crypto space inspires?
I mean, all of my guests do. I'm really inspired by Anthony Pompliano. I love his new business show. I got to meet him and spend a little bit of time with him and his brothers in Miami. They were super kind. They're very, very smart, and they know how to deliver the message to the masses, which again is, I think, what's needed. I really admire the women that are in the space, and I'd love to interview more of them. And I just love the Bitcoin space in general. Everybody really inspires me.
It's a lot of fun, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, so we're gonna start wrapping up here. Kind of running out of time, but so if our listeners want to stay in touch with you and follow what you're working on and any projects that you're doing, how would they do that?
Yeah, so I would love for them to download my podcast. It's on every podcast platform. It's called Coin Stories. So you can get it on Apple, Google Play, Spotify. I also post the video versions of the interviews on YouTube. So you can check out Coin Stories on YouTube. And then you can also connect with me on social media. On Twitter, I'm at Nat Brunell. And on Instagram, I'm Natalie Brunell.
Well, thank you so much, Natalie. Really appreciate your time coming on to talk to us out here in the Inland Empire. And, hopefully we'll be able to catch you back on again soon.
Thank you so much for having me.
Great. Thank you. Have a good day.
Thank you.
You're listening to the IE Crypto Show, and we'll be right back.
Save the economy and invest with Matt. Do you want to build wealth at all levels of income? Invest with Matt. You want to learn about and understand cryptocurrencies? Invest with Matt. What if you've been taught to create your goals all wrong and you really want to achieve them? And what if you could really manage and save your time? Save the economy and invest with Matt. Book a call with Matt Maloof today at investwithmatt.com. Located in Redlands, California, investwithmatt.com. Life advice built for the digital world.
You're listening to the IE Crypto Show, where you can find us at theiecryptoshow.com. We have links to all of our resources that we use to turbocharge our Bitcoin adoption, liberty, and freedom. That's theiecryptoshow.com. Have any questions, comments, or concerns? Just send us an email, theiecryptoshow@gmail.com. We'll get back to you as soon as we can. Follow us on Twitter at the IE Crypto Show. For all your tax-advantaged cryptocurrency and precious metal investment needs, make sure you visit our friends at itrustcapital.com, the #1 crypto IRA and 401k platform in America. Use promo code IECrypto for a special offer and no additional cost to you. That's itrustcapital.com, promo code IECrypto. Let's meet and hang out over some great food and beers. Go to meetup.com/Inland Empire Bitcoiners for the latest info on where and when we'll be hanging out. Go there as often as you can, as we change things up from time to time, and we also collaborate with other Bitcoin meetup groups as well. Thanks for listening to the IE Crypto Show. Thank you so much to Ms. Natalie Brunell of the Coin Stories podcast for taking the time to come out and talk to us here at the IE Crypto Show. Natalie talked a little bit about how she got into Bitcoin and how she manages the extreme volatility, learning more about Bitcoin, about women in the cryptocurrency space, the importance of financial education for everybody, and the history of money and finance. She talked a little bit about the future needs in the crypto space and leadership, Natalie's advice for newbies and no coiners, and what she enjoyed most about her Coin Stories podcast. Natalie dropped some great info on Bitcoin's value proposition and looking ahead to the future, and why everybody kind of needs to have a little bit of Bitcoin in their life. So thank you again so much to Natalie. You can find her Coin Stories podcast on any of the podcast platforms out there that you enjoy listening to, as well as on Twitter, Natalie Brunell. And thank you again so much. Thank you for listening, and we'll be right back. Thank you for tuning in, crypto enthusiasts, to another great episode. This is Matt with the IE Crypto Show, where you've been tuning in each week to learn more about Bitcoin, the circular economy, and freedom. We had an awesome episode brought to you today by itrustcapital.com. That's the letter I, trustcapital.com. Use promo code IECrypto for a special discount just for you listeners. If you want to instantly convert your dirty fiat dollars to Bitcoin without tax consequences, then use the Strike app. Link is in the show notes and our website, iecryptoshow.com. We had such a great episode today where we talked about mostly the Bitcoin portfolio insurance, where the results of investing just 1% of your money into Bitcoin, how you increase your portfolio returns while reducing your risk, and how if you're a young person starting out, a parent saving for your kids' education, or a retiree protecting your nest egg, how important Bitcoin is to be included in your portfolio. How Bitcoin is scarce in a world of plenty, and even with the current 5% annual inflation that we have right now, at that annual 5% inflation rate, your cash is going to lose 50% of its value in the next 10 years. So it's already there. And how adding Bitcoin to your portfolio will help diversify it, and Bitcoin's correlation to other assets between 2015 and 2020, an average of 0.11, indicating there's almost no relationship between the returns of Bitcoin and other assets coming from a Fidelity Digital Assets study, and how adding Bitcoin to your portfolio gives you more bang for your buck, and how you'll actually be able to maintain and possibly increase your purchasing power with the price of everything going up. Imagine the home improvements that you want to do around the house, not even adding onto your house, but just maintaining and fixing the things that are broken. How much more that's costing you now than it did last year or even 2 years ago. Get those estimates and look at what you got a few years ago. If you've been looking, now's the time to pull the trigger, because it's going to be even more and more expensive in the coming years. We had a great interview with Natalie Brunell of Coin Stories, who discussed a variety of things on Bitcoin volatility, learning about Bitcoin, women in the cryptocurrency space, and the importance of financial education. It was a great interview. Definitely going to want to listen to it at least a couple of times, and probably with a pen and paper. If you need anything, please don't hesitate to reach out to us, the IE Crypto Show at gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, the IE Crypto Show. And if you need help implementing any of the resources that we use at iecryptoshow.com, just send us an email, the iecryptoshow at gmail.com, and we'll be more than happy to sit down and go over with you anything that you might need to get onto the Bitcoin standard and join us in the circular economy. It's getting hectic. It's getting more hectic very fast. It's getting more expensive very fast. Bitcoin can help. I hope you guys realize that. We're getting a little bit further behind out here in the Inland Empire. I've seen much more adoption of Bitcoin in San Diego, Orange County, a little bit in LA and Ventura County. So I don't want us to keep lagging behind any further. Please. Not financial, tax, or legal advice, just my opinion and my musings on the subject. With that, have a wonderful week. Remember to observe, plan, execute, adjust as necessary, stack sats always, be happy and live well. This is Matt with the IE Crypto Show, and we'll talk to you again soon. Hope to see you online and in person at our meetup in a couple of days.